Have you ever felt like your home is watching you? I don't mean that cozy, safe feeling. I mean the prickle on the back of your neck when you're alone. The sense that the shadows in the corner of your eye are just a little too long, a little too dark. That's how it started for us in the house on Elm Street. Number 1428. It was a beautiful old Victorian, the kind you see in magazines, with a wraparound porch and stained glass windows that threw rainbows on the floorboards. It was our dream home. Or so we thought. The first week we painted walls, unpacked boxers, and laughed until our sides hurt. My wife, Clara, our son, Leo, and I, we were a family, finally putting down roots. The first strange thing happened on a Tuesday night. I was half asleep when I heard it. A faint whisper, like a breeze through a keyhole. It sounded like it was saying a name. Clara! I sat up, my heart thumping. I looked over at her, but she was fast asleep, breathing softly. I must have been dreaming. But the next night, it happened again. This time, it was louder, clearer. Clara? It wasn't a dream. The sound seemed to come from the walls themselves, a dry, papery rustle of a voice. I nudged Clara awake. Did you hear that? She blinked sleepily. Hear what, Ben? I told her what I'd heard. She laughed it off. It's an old house, honey. It groans. It settles. You're just tired. I wanted to believe her. I really did. A few days later, Leo came into our room, his face pale. He was only 8, but he was a brave kid, not one to be scared of the dark. Daddy, he whispered. The house said my name. My blood ran cold. I hugged him tight. What do you mean, buddy? He told me he was playing in his room when he heard it, a soft Leo coming from his closet. Clara and I searched his room, the closet, everywhere. We found nothing. We told him it was just the pipes, the wind, anything to calm him down. But I knew he wasn't imagining it. The whispering became a nightly ritual. It never said my name, only Clara and Leo. It was unnerving, like living with a ghost roommate who knew us intimately. We tried to ignore it, to live our lives. We'd blast music, watch loud movies, anything to drown out the silence where the whispers lived. But you can't run from the sound of your own home. Then the house started to change. It was subtle at first, a doorway that seemed narrower than before, a hallway that felt a little longer. Clara accused me of being paranoid. Ben, you're measuring the hallways now. Stop it. You're scaring Leo. But I knew I wasn't crazy. I'd walk from the kitchen to the living room, a path I'd taken 100 times, and it would feel different, like the journey took a few extra steps. The night it happened to Clara, I was working late in my study. The house was quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, I heard a muffled scream. I bolted from my chair, shouting her name. Clara! Clara, where are you? I ran to our bedroom, but it was empty. The kitchen, the living room, empty. I was screaming her name, my voice echoing through the silent, cavernous house. And that's when I saw it. The wall at the end of the main hallway. There used to be a door there, leading to the small sunroom she loved. Now there was just a solid, unbroken wall. Plaster, paint, and baseboard. Seamless, as if a door had never existed. I clawed at the wall, my fingers raw and bleeding. I screamed until my throat was hoarse. She was gone. The police came. They thought I was insane. A man rambling about a moving wall, a vanishing wife. They searched, they found nothing. No sign of a struggle, no sign of Clara. They suspected me, of course. For weeks, I was a pariah, the man who might have made his wife disappear. Only Leah believed me. He was quiet, withdrawn. He'd just stare at a spot on the wall and whisper, "Mommy's in there." We lived in a state of quiet terror. Just me and Leah in the house that had eaten our family. We slept in the same room, afraid to be separated. We knew the whispers would come. We just didn't know when. We learned the house's pattern. It only ever said your name. It never repeated a name for the same person. Clara heard her name for weeks. Leo had heard his once. But me, the house had never spoken to me. I was a ghost in my own home, waiting. The isolation was the worst part. The house seemed to actively work to separate us. I'd be in the kitchen, and Leo would be in the living room, just a few feet away. I'd turn around, and suddenly a wall would have appeared in the doorway, not with a crash, but silently, like it had always been there. I'd have to run around through the dining room, my heart pounding, just to get back to him. The house was playing with us. A cat with 2 terrified mice. We knew we had to leave. I packed our bags in a frenzy. Just as we were going to run in the middle of the night and never look back. I held Leo's hand, his small fingers gripping mine like a vice. "We're going to be okay, buddy," I whispered, my voice trembling. "We're getting out of here." We made it to the front door. My hand was on the doorknob, twisting it. It was locked. I fumbled for the key, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I couldn't find it. I always left it in the bowl. Accesorios. It was gone. Panic set in. We were trapped. The air grew cold, and the familiar silence descended, thick and heavy. And then I heard it for the very first time, coming from all around me, from the very bones of the house, a dry, ancient whisper. Penna froze. My blood turned to ice. Leo looked up at me, his eyes wide with a terror that mirrored my own. He knew what it meant. "The house only says your name once." I looked at the wall beside the front door, the wall that was solid plaster and wood, and I watched in abject horror as the paint began to bubble. The plaster cracked. A dark, gaping maw began to open in the wall. Not a doorway, but a void. It was an entrance to nowhere, a mouth ready to swallow. I looked at Leo run. I screamed, "Run to the back door. Go." I pushed him away from me, away from the opening void. He hesitated, tears streaming down his face. "Daddy, go!" I roared. He turned and ran. I didn't watch him go. Primera, good aunt. I kept my eyes fixed on the darkness in the wall, this impossible, hungry space. I could feel it pulling at me, a cold, irresistible force. The whisper came again, louder this time, a chorus of voices from the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Ben, 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 Ben. I am the last one. Clara heard her name. Then she was gone. The house learned Leo's name. It toyed with him, with us, and now it has finally learned mine. As the darkness rushes forward to greet me, my last thought is of Leo. I hope he made it. I hope he's running far away from this place. I hope the house doesn't learn his name again. Because in this house, You only get one warning, and when it calls you, it's already too late. You're already gone. Don't ever buy a house that feels too good to be true. And if it ever whispers your name, run.